As a kid, I grew up playing a lot of tennis, and I was a pretty decent player. I wasn't amazing, but I was good enough. And I would train, and we had coaches, and we would travel and that sort of thing. And I remember very distinctly when I was probably 12 or 13 years old, that our coach came back and they said to us, you know what, guys? We need to start playing like the Spanish. Because at the time, the Spanish players were really come up. They were very exciting. And we had all our favorite tennis players, and many of them were Spanish. And what our coach said to us is what he meant by we should play like the Spanish, is he said, did you know in Spain, in the Spanish Tennis Federation, they have a motto, and it's 3 words only: head, heart, and feet. Head, heart, feet. And we all sat there and we said, head, heart, feet, what does that mean? I don't know. Head, heart, feet. And what our coach said to us, and by the way, I don't know if this is actually true, if this was ever the motto of the Spanish Tennis Federation, but what head, heart, and feet meant, at least to my coach, head had to do with the decisions we make on the court. And some of those decisions are psychological decisions, right? Do we get upset when something's not going our way, or do we stay focused instead? Do we make good decisions related to tactics, right? Where we're hitting the ball, what we're doing. Do we stay composed like that? And so that was a really key component, right? Is that you keep your wits about you when you're playing, that you're smart out there on the court. When it came to heart, that was the passion you had and the drive. Would you be willing to fight back when you're behind? Would you be willing to grind away if you had to, if you knew that's what it took to beat your opponents? Would you have kind of the character to be out there on the court where you were such a tough opponent because the people you played against, they knew that you were never going to quit, you were never going to give up, that you had that heart to stay in there as long as it took? And finally, we had feet. And what they meant by feet and caring about the feet was how you moved on the court, putting in the effort. And so this is more of a physical and sort of technical skill than sort of the psychological or the emotional skill, right? Is could you move? And that would encourage us to do our fitness training and to work hard on the court. And if you think about that in terms of pickleball, head, heart, and feet, all these things really apply, especially if you're wanting to play competitive pickleball, whatever level you might be at, right? When you're out there on the court, are you focused? Are you doing the things you need to do in order to play your best? Are you showing up early? Are you preparing? Are you watching? If you're playing a tournament match against opponents, have you gone onto YouTube to see if you can find those opponents? Have they played other matches that you can watch? And you can try to figure out, hey, what are their tendencies? What do they like to do? How do they handle it when a ball gets hit down the middle of the court? Does one player tend to take those balls, or does the other? Do they stack? Do they switch? Does one person poach a lot more than another, either to protect a weakness or try to use a strength that they might have more often? So do you put in the kind of psychological work? Do you put in the psychological effort to prepare yourself to play great pickleball? Now, in terms of the heart, I think the same applies to what we were talking about when I was a kid playing tennis, right? Are you willing to stay out there as long as you need to? And so if this means having a 25 ball or more dinking rally, willing to outlast your opponents, are you willing to do that? Are you willing to fight back when you're down 9-2 in a game, to try to scrape away and win some points here and there, to steal some points from your opponents? Do you have the heart, the desire to go out and to do this, right? To put in that kind of effort, even when the odds are kind of tilted in your opponent's favor. And finally, feet. If I've said it once, I've said it a million times through our work at Third Shot Sports or Pickleball Coaching International or wherever, doing the broadcast commentary. Pickleball is not mainly a game about hitting. It's mainly a game about moving. You can have the nicest swing in the world, but if you can't get to the ball, you can't use it. And so we need to be amazing movers on the court. And I realize that not everyone can move as well as Tyson McGuffin or Simone, Jardim, or whoever your favorite players are. We can't all move as well as them. But what we can do is we can have the desire to move, the recognition that pickleball is mainly a game about moving. And so when we come on the court and we have that sort of bouncy, light, athletic look to us, no matter what your age or your physical fitness is, can you have that feel out there, that expectation that you're going to have to move to chase the ball? Can you be willing to take the extra step to set up well for the ball so that you're on balance as opposed to reaching for the ball and you're not on balance, right? And so that kind of desire to care about setting up for the ball, I think is really important. And so when we're thinking about pickleball, when we're thinking about playing well, and especially if this is in a competitive situation, to think about going out on the pickleball court and give it a try. Let me know what you think. Going out there and really caring about the head, the heart, and the feet.